Gotham episode 10, Lovecraft. I think this was a really great episode for the fall finale. I think it's a very interesting way to end the first season's fall finale, especially with such a big change, mostly through our main character, who technically at this point in the Batman franchise is meant to be Jim Gordon, and now he's leaving the GCPD. Basically, he kind of got fired, but at the same time he didn't because he chose to take on this other job, and so the basically the second half of this entire season is going to be him working for Arkham Asylum. So I thought that was really cool, and he might end up, of course, getting back in the GCPD by the end of this season, because that's, of course, what Jim does in Batman. He's in the GCPD. But I thought that was really cool. I didn't expect that at all, but it was a great way to end the finale, where it's like, hey, it didn't just have like these cool moments in it. It had like one specific moment that will actually change pretty much the entire series at this point, because he won't be working with Bullock. So all the main characters are still going to be main characters. Bullock is still one of the main people, so he's going to have a different partner. We're going to see how that works out throughout the rest of the season, how he solves these issues while doing detective work with a different partner. And then Jim is going to be at Arkham Asylum, and I'm sure he'll try to help out with the investigation stuff because it's Jim Gordon, but he won't really be able to because he has his own issues to deal with at Arkham Asylum. So I'm very excited for that. That was definitely one of my favorite things. I feel like my favorite thing had to be Alfred in this episode, because he was just really cool. Like when the woman came in and she was acting like she was hurt and stuff, he took her in, and it was like he looked at Selina and he looked at the woman, was just like, run. Like, she's standing up, she's got too much, her posture's too good right now. You guys need to take off. Punch her straight in the face, fights like two other guys, kills one guy after he gets shot in the arm, and he was just like really cool in this episode. He honestly met 100% more characters in this episode too, because he only talked to like 3 people this entire series. It was Bruce, of course, Selina, and Jim, and in this episode he met Bullock, he met Mooney, and he met like her right hand man. I can't think of his name, but he met all 3 of them too. So he seriously met like 100% more characters in this episode, which was something I just thought was kind of funny. But it was really great to see him outside of Wayne Manor. He took on the people in the house. Then he had to find Bruce and Selina. Mostly Bruce, because he didn't really give a crap about Selina. But he's going on the search for them. They go to Mooney's place, and it was just really cool, like his interaction with the guy. And it was just kind of funny. Like, the guy's like, is he really threatening me? Like, is this older, shorter than me, an older guy really trying to threaten me? And he just took him down real quick. And they introduced a small element where Fish is gonna try to wheel her way into getting help from Bruce and Alfred, in the future, because she mentions how she wants Alfred to remember the kindness. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment where he's like, I can tell what type of person you are, and she helps him out. And it's like, I can definitely get something out of this guy, because he's, of course, the legal guardian of basically the richest kid in all of Gotham. So I thought that was very interesting, and hopefully they touch on that in this season. And if not this season, then I'm sure they will before she ends up getting killed off at some point, of course. But I thought it was really good. I enjoyed his moments, were probably my favorite parts, and I just thought all of that was really well done. The whole thing, just them trying to find Bruce and Selina, I thought was pretty good, because we got to see it from both sides, where Alfred was freaking out trying to find Bruce, and Bruce was kind of freaking out trying to get back to Alfred, because he didn't really know what was happening with him, and they were both worried that the other might be dead. So I really enjoyed that, and Bruce and Selina kind of just experiencing Gotham, and mostly Bruce experiencing Gotham for the first time and meeting certain people. We got to see him meet Ivy in this episode, Poison Ivy, and she was just really weird. I like the way they had the little girl play her character, because she seemed like a serial killer right there, and I thought it was actually done. It was really, really weird, and I don't Poison Ivy isn't like that, but she kind of like honestly, I only know Poison Ivy like a tiny bit before she was actually Poison Ivy, and she was a weird character, weird like actual human being before she became like full on Poison Ivy. So I actually thought it kind of made sense that they had her. Basically, she really just seemed like a serial killer. I never got that vibe from like her, I guess, more human version from what I'd seen before. But in this, I thought it was actually well done. Like, the little girl did seem really creepy. The way she spoke, she had like run-on sentences, kind of how I'm talking right now, really. But they seemed a lot creepier, like, and she would ask stuff, and it was just like, when you have run on sentences and it's for something that's very dramatic, for whatever reason, it makes it much more impactful. Like, it's stuff about her parents being killed. She was like, did you shoot my dad? Did you make my mom slit her wrists? And stuff like that. When it's said in such a normal tone, but it's done really, really fast, it makes it seem even crazier. So I really enjoyed that scene, and I thought it was kind of funny that Selina was actually scared of the little girl, like she's just really creepy. So let's not look back and keep going. But I thought, their little adventure was pretty interesting. He let Selina escape, even though she was the one on the list, and we still don't really know who is coming after her. We don't know exactly what's going on. We got like a little bit of information, like the name of this episode is Lovecraft, and that's basically for the person that Harvey Dent was going after. And in this episode, that guy gets killed off because apparently he knows too much information, which of course we don't find out because it's television, and it's like Jim could have just been like, hold on, and just been like, all right, let me scan this page in like a millisecond, try to get something. But with it being television, it's like, wait, hold on that big plot point for sometime later in the season, and he ends up getting killed off. So it kind of added a level of depth to it because he had to take off because Harvey kind of put Jim's name out there. So it's like, all right, we got to take out this girl specifically, and we have to take out Lovecraft because he knows a little bit too much as well. So it makes me very curious. It doesn't seem like it was Fish Mooney. It's there are, of course, a ton of theories going around, like it would be like one of the main characters, of course, but it didn't seem like it would be Fish Mooney to me, just because it seems like it's someone that we haven't even met yet. Honestly, that's the way they're playing it, but it probably is someone we know, and it's it could easily be Fish Mooney. Maybe that was her plan the whole time, because I'm sure she's had this idea for much longer than the series has actually, shown. So it could have easily been her. It could have been Falcone himself. I don't think it would have been Falcone just because of his relationship, you know, in the world, and some of the things he says where it's like, we kind of have to have balance, and losing the Waynes, even though Maroni kind of said the same thing, like losing the Waynes kind of was bad for business because it just threw everything out of whack. It still could have been one of them. It could have been Maroni for sure, like even though it threw things out of whack for him, it could have just been a great way for him to start his sort of power play. But it just brought up a good question, like who is it really if it's not this guy? He was the one person they showed, and I didn't expect it to be him just because he was the first person Harvey Dent went after. I was like, I'm sure it's not this guy, and it really is something much bigger than what we expected. So I'm excited for them to kind of touch on that and really show us like what exactly is going to happen here, like what's going to be going down, and just all the craziness that's going to come out of that, of course. And then we got to see a little bit of Penguin in this episode, where Falcone was kind of worried that he betrayed him already, and he's already in a little bit of hot water. And of course he decided to wait and tell him about Liza, and he's waiting for her to kind of just screw herself over and screw Fish up without having to do it himself. But him hiding that information, of course, is just gonna backfire, because if it's found out, like one of the first thing that happens when you're busted is like, well, this person who's working with you knew that I was working behind your back, and he didn't tell you. So I feel like that's just gonna blow up in his face too. And I don't know, of course they take certain creative freedoms with the characters, so I don't know how they're gonna do it, if they're gonna end up like killing off Falcone if he does try to go after Penguin, and Penguin actually takes him and Fish Mooney out or something crazy like that. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because him hiding that secret, I don't think, I know he does it because he's trying to help himself still, and he's kind of plotting like, all right, she's a ticking time bomb, but at the same time I still feel like, even though he said that, his main plan is just to work his way around that secret and use it to his own advantage so he can get above even Falcone. But I'm excited to see how that plays out. And the scene where Falcone just like shot the guy in the head, and he was like, he worked for the armory, knew him since we were kids, and he may have looked the other way, he might not have, I don't really know, so I just shot him in the head, let's have dinner. And that was pretty much it. So that kind of led to Fish Mooney looking at the other guys when they say like, hey, these taxes are kind of going up on us because this guy died, and that's a little bit high for us. So she's going to, of course, make even more of a play to take over, and that's, of course, going to screw her over with the Penguin and all that stuff. So I'm excited for everything that's happening. But I thought it was a great fall finale, a lot of cool little plot points. Of course, the big thing with Jim, I think, is the biggest change to the series, really, because everything else is still kind of just gonna go along like it was, but Jim has kind of just been stopped from what he was doing because of this case and him kind of being framed, but at the same time, he explained himself, but of course the mayor is kind of corrupt as well, and he's like, hey, you either quit or take the crappy job. So his job is kind of his role in the series really has been completely changed from what it was. So I'm excited to see how that plays out, and of course all the silly hints that they're going to be dropping with him in Arkham Asylum, and they might even put lesser villains in there. They could put like someone who isn't super huge, like Calendar Man maybe. They could probably put him in there because that character, when Batman actually fights him, is an older guy, so he could be in Arkham Asylum already as a younger version of himself, and I think that would actually be a pretty cool and just a logical reference. Like, of course, pretty much all these characters don't come up until Batman comes up, of course, because that's just how stories work, but they could easily do it, and I think it would actually work fairly well for the type of show they're doing, where it's not just all the crazy villains, but he works in this type of series, just like the Riddler being in this series, and he had a funny moment in this episode when he hugged Gordon at the end. It was just like, quick hug, and then he just kind of walked off really fast. I thought that was funny, but I'm really excited for the second half of this season. I think the show's honestly really well done. I've enjoyed it since the beginning. I've had like some iffy moments with Fish Mooney only, and that was admittedly it. Just like I think it was only the second episode where I had this issue, but she seemed so cartoonish in the way she was speaking in the second episode. But since then, I don't think I've really had that issue. Certain, like a couple of lines here and there maybe, but for the most part, I still love her character. I love Jada Pinkett Smith as an actor. I don't think it was her to begin with. I think it was more the producers and directors and stuff that kind of told her to play up the style of her character. But I think it fits better when she's a lot more toned down. But of course, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about this one. Your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what element are you guys most excited for during part 2 of this season? Comment below. Let me know. And thanks for watching.